Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with an assembly video for one of our die sets. This is die number 1071, the Adirondack chair pop-up, and you can check out all of our designs at karenburniston.com. This is a straight re-release of a previously licensed design with the exception of it now comes with a shovel and pail. The card I'll be making on the video today is this beach-themed version, but of course that chair will work year-round for any season. You choose your card size, and for today's card I'll be making a 4.5 by 5.5 top fold card, which means I started with a piece of cardstock 4.5 inches wide by 11 inches long, scored in the middle for folding. I also need an inner card, and for this one I chose 4 inches by 9 inches and then scored it at 5 inches from the top. And before I cut my Adirondack chair, I want to work a little bit on that inner card, which will be my sand scene. So I'll set my Adirondack chair die set aside and I'll switch to the tropical scene die set. To make my cardstock look a little more sandy, I'm just using a scrubber sponge and some brown ink. And then some temporary removable tape to hold my palm tree edge die up at the top of that piece. Now you can use any die cutting machine that can accommodate a wafer thin die, and today I'm using a Sizzix Big Shot. Then I'll switch to the other edge die in the set that has those stitch marks and finish out the cut at the top, and that will give me that look of sand dunes. So this is going to be the background behind and below my chair. So when I install this inside the card, I want to use my tape runner only around the perimeter, and that way I won't have any adhesive on the sand piece in the area where the chair will be cut. To cut the chair, I place the alignment nubs directly over the fold of the card. A really good idea to use some temporary removable tape to hold that in place so it doesn't slide. And then I'm going to roll that through my machine, and I'm going to roll it twice because I'm asking that die, which is actually pretty intricate, to go through 2 layers of cardstock. And since this is 2 layers of cardstock, I've flipped it over just to check and see if the die got through the white cardstock all the way before I remove the die. And I feel like it'll be better if I run it back through again. So in that case, I flipped it over so that the die is underneath the piece just to give it a different type of pressure. And that third time was a charm for this card because I can see easily now that all of those slats are going to pop right out on the white chair. So this is just one method for how you can have a different colored chair than the background of your card. And that's by going in then, since I have no adhesive between the 2 layers where the chair is, I can easily lift up the sand colored chair and clip it out of there. The important thing being that I would want to make sure that my scissors are only cutting the sand cardstock and not the white cardstock. So just using my pokey tool then to get rid of all that clinging white cardstock inside those slats. And now this is ready for folding. For folding the Adirondack chair, it's a great idea to find the center fold first in both directions. And then the idea is that as you start to close the card, the arms of the chair will pop out towards you, but you want the seat to pop inward. So arms come out, seat stays inward. And then I like to go to the back where the arms touch the card and give those a little help. And then right where the legs touch the card, I like to go in there and give those a little help. And again, remembering that the seat needs to stay collapsed down as a valley. Then you've got the little pivot points where the arms touch the back of the chair, and then right here at the base of the seat. Then I'll let the card do the rest of the work, but I do want to make sure that my hands are very close together behind the card right at the fold, and then just close it. So that's all there is to it, and now I've got that cool white chair against that sand-colored backdrop. There is a die in the set to cut the arms of the chair, and it does have a cool stencil/emboss feature on it. So I've swapped out my sandwich for an embossing sandwich, and then I'm going to run that through to add that texture onto those arms. I do like to do the embossing first when I have a brand new die because then it's really easy just to line the die right up over that embossed texture, swap out my sandwich for a cutting sandwich, and then run it back through. So that's especially true of a brand new die because, as you know, when you cut a new die, the paper just tends to fall right out of it. And that way you don't have to try and line that paper back up in the die for the embossing part. Just do the embossing first. To add the arms to the pop-up chair, you would want the glue to go on the pop-up chair itself, since that's the smaller of the two pieces. And then those are designed just to line up perfectly. So it's real easy to get good placement. Do make sure that you glue them down securely, especially back where the chair touches the card, because that's a little spot where if your decorative arm is flopping up, it kind of bunches in the fold. And then I'll just repeat that to add the other arm to the chair. Okay, and then to cover the hole that's left in the card from where the pop-up was cut, I just need a backing card. And that backing card just has to be big enough to cover that hole. So it could be the same sand color, or what I like to do sometimes is to do a slightly darker color, because then it really looks like the chair is casting a shadow underneath it. And I just use a tape runner for that. So tape runner right around the pop-up part on one side of the card, and then just making sure that that backing card's fold is right in the fold of the pop-up card, and then just press that onto the card. And then in my case, I can peel this back and add just a little bit more tape runner since my card was a little longer. Then I flip the card around, lift up the backing card, again, tape runner right around the pop-up so I can avoid it, and then a little bit out on the end of the backing card, and then just press that into place. So a pretty quick assembly then to get from paper to pop-up, and now I get to do all the fun decorating. One way to change the color of the palm trees would be to do it with cardstock layers. So I'm cutting through both green and brown cardstock, then I layer those together and glue them over the top of the sand colored ones in the card. And then I tucked another set into the dunes. There are 4 dies in the Adirondack chair set that make the shovel and pail, so I can cut those all at the same time just using bright colored scraps from my scrap bin. For my card today, I'll take the handle for the pail and put the shovel onto it before adding a little bit of glue out on the ends of that handle and gluing it to the pail. And then the pail itself is cut to allow for the little mound of sand to be woven into the pail, and then just a little spot of glue on the back. It's just a decorator piece. It could go anywhere, but if you'd like it to pop up, you can attach it to one of the chair legs, and that's kind of a good spot for it, and then it'll pop up with the chair. Back to my tropical scene to cut some waves using a scrap of pattern paper. So that'll be the surf area of my card at the bottom. And then as I glue that down, I'm going to add the octopus from the ocean animals set, kind of climbing out of the water and onto the sand. The ocean animals were designed to work perfectly with the Adirondack chair. Either one of those animals can sit in that chair, and the easiest is just to glue the animal to the back of the chair. But I also wanted to teach another technique, which is to add an extra support through the chair so that the item that you're having sitting in the chair can actually be a little bit forward. And that's done easily with just a strip of cardstock, and then you fold under a foot to attach to the bottom of the card. Now you can do it like this as an L support, or if you really want it to stand up nicely, another thing you can do is to split your foot. So just with the scissors cut up the middle and then reverse one half, either half, so that basically you're creating a base for your support that goes in both directions. So it stands up really nicely that way. So then you just add glue to the bottom of both of those feet and then straighten them out again so that you can actually weave them down through one of those slats on the chair, and then the feet are going to open up and glue actually to the base of the card. And for the angle, I would like it just standing straight up when the card is open. So once my glue sets up, you can see now that those feet are attached to the base of the card. The support comes right up through a slat of the chair, and the chair itself will both collapse and pull up that support. And obviously that support's way too long, but then I can decide how much of it to cut off to leave myself some to animate my crab. I definitely prefer this method of making a floor support for my extra pop-up versus, say, adding a little box platform into the seat of the chair. And the reason for that is the seat of the chair is already floating in the air. So you're asking a lot of it for it to also pull up an extra pop-up. But by making a floor support, you're not putting any stress at all on the chair. Okay, the finished interior of my card. Let's go over what else I added. I added the word congrats from word set 1, curving it to fit the dunes. The sun, the starfish, and both the seashells came again from that tropical scene die set. and then the smallest crosshatch rectangle as a place to add a personal greeting. Okay, for the front of the card, I realized that my rectangle, my largest rectangle, was going to still show a little bit of my craft colors. So I'm going to extend that so it looks better. And then on that largest crosshatch rectangle, I added 2 more rectangles, cut those palm trees into it, added the crab and a seashell. So basically just repeating the same elements as the inside of my card to make a complementary scene. I think beach scene cards work for a variety of different occasions. And congrats works really well if this were used for, say, a retirement card or a honeymoon card or graduation. And of course, a beach scene works wonderfully as a birthday card as well. You can also see on this card how well the shovel and pail works with the octopus on the front of the card. Definitely pull that chair off the beach though and use it in other nature settings. So here's an autumn themed card using some of our new autumn dies. And then here's a fall themed card by Karen Aiken, and I just love that wood grain chair. Frances Burns shows how you can use the Adirondack chair inside. So here's one that's a Christmas theme, and I love how she's added the presents in the seat of the chair. Look for this die to be available on our website and some of your favorite independent and online retailers starting September 2018. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can find out information about purchasing these dies, as well as links to all my other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.